Welcome to training on the UCAS Customer Administration Portal 3.0. This video will deal with call centers. This will be a comprehensive lesson to teach you about call centers within the PBX, and by the end of this lesson, the following topics will be discussed. Defining call queues, agents, supervisors, and other portions of the call center product set. Assigning licenses to users. Creating and managing queues, and some basics of reporting queue and agent level activity. In the context of this lesson, there are a couple of terms that need to be clarified. When one thinks of a call center, the initial thought is that of rows of bustling cubicles with agents fielding complaint calls all day, every day. While that is one application for the call center product, it is not the only one. A call queue can include just a single point of contact if you desire, and the calls that come into him can wait in line, so to speak, until he is ready to take them. When we speak of queues, think of them as advanced hunt groups, an automated call distribution algorithm that not only locates an available agent, but will keep the caller engaged in the event the agent or agents are not ready to take the call at that time. An agent is a user with a seat who is a member of one or more call queues. An agent, by definition, has a special license that allows him or her to participate in the queues, and a single license will permit that agent inclusion in any number of queues. Keep these terms in mind as we move forward through this lesson. Within the Customer Administration Portal, there are three license types available. The agent license is the basic license and is necessary for users to become members of call queues, while the agent client license is an upgrade to the agent license and is not a standalone product. It will permit the agent to use an online portal for better queue and call management, which will be discussed in another video. And finally, the supervisor license allows the user to be a supervisor, which can function as an agent, but also has access to an online client with advanced reporting tools and a real-time dashboard. To add more licenses, contact your sales channel. Like almost everything else that deals with your PBX, we will go to the Customer Administration Portal. In order to assign agents to queues, they will need to be properly licensed. In order to assign licenses, we will turn to the user info in the Administration and Access subsection of the Administration category. In order to receive a license, the user must have an active phone number. In other words, we will have had to have assigned the user to a seat. So, in our example, training user here is not valid as an agent because there is no seat associated. You can see the extension column is blank. But Holly does have a seat. Let's make her an agent for this lesson. We have to edit her user profile, which will open up a menu for us to edit the user. The user profile has a place to assign licenses at the bottom of this Edit and Manage User Settings dialog window. If the user has multiple extensions, they will be revealed in the drop-down menu. Once the extension has been selected, you can choose which license you'd like to assign. Notice how there is one agent license and it has not been assigned yet. In larger call center setups, there may be dozens of licenses. Select the button to set the license, then press Save to lock in your changes. Repeat this process for any agents or supervisors whose licenses need to be assigned. Over to the call center section and the subcategory of the same name, we will be able to add and edit queues. The call center section will only appear if the PBX has call center licenses, whether they have been assigned or not. If you need to add licenses, contact your sales channel. As you can see, at this time there are no queues in this PBX. There is no practical limit to the number of queues that you can construct, though. And to build them, press the plus queue button at the top to open the Add New Queue dialog window. The dialog window lets you assign details to your new queue. Many of these categories look identical to those in hunt groups. At the top, assign a name and the caller ID details. This will help identify the call type for this call center. Next, set the time zone and the direct number and extension. The phone number dropdown is populated with the virtual numbers that have yet to be assigned. You will define the call distribution type here with the same options as you had for hunt groups. On the left side, you will set the parameters that define how much the call queue can handle, while on the right, you have settings that determine how your agents interact with it. And at the bottom, the ability to assign a distinctive ring pattern to the call center calls. After you make any changes, press Save to continue. Zooming into the queue settings section, we have 4 selections. Queue length is the total number of calls that can be handled by agents and held in waiting before the queue is in an overflow status, which we will discuss later. This can be any value from 1 to 50. To let the caller hear ringing just before the agent picks up, turn this setting on. And to escape to busy treatment, turn this on and select the appropriate digit. This is really only effective if you also have a group voicemail associated to this queue. And you can reset caller stats for the queue. This setting is very useful if this is an overflow queue. Zooming in on the Agents settings section, we have 5 options. Allow agent to join call centers will place a button labeled A Sign In to the desk phone of all agents in the queue. Allow call waiting will enable agents to have calls offered even when they are currently on a call. And next, you can permit the algorithm to direct calls to agents who are in wrap-up. If you want your agents to have that bit of time after the call to wrap up their work, finish notes, or close their CRM program, you can set that here, and the time they are permitted is on this line. The next tab is the Call Routing tab and is used to configure conditions in case the queue is not adequately staffed or is otherwise unready. The first section is for bounced calls. A call bounces when it is sent to an agent, but the agent does not answer it. Think of this as call forwarding no answer. The next section is overflow settings, or what to do if the call queue is too busy. Remember that queue length from the queue profile tab? That will directly tie to this section. And on the right is the stranded calls setting. Calls can be stranded because all agents have logged out when there are calls still in queue, or if all agents go unavailable due to a local power or internet disruption. And at the bottom is scheduled call routing, exactly like you saw with hunt groups. Remember to save any changes that you wish to keep. Let's look at these categories in a bit more detail. Bounced calls has a few settings of its own. You can set the number of rings before the bounce here, and it defaults to 5 rings. You can have the call bounce in case the agent becomes unavailable while the call is coming to him, and you can also bounce in the event the agent is taking too long on hold. When a call bounces, it is taken back to the queue and put at the top of the stack, ready for the next available agent. Overflow has a few settings of its own. The treatment for overflow calls is set here. You can treat as busy, ring until the caller hangs up, or transfer to another number or extension. You can choose to play an announcement when the calls overflow, and you can set a condition to overflow after a long wait time. This section allows you to customize your overflow messaging. We will talk more about the announcement repository with the Announcements tab. For stranded calls, there are settings as well. If all agents are signed out, define the treatment, whether treat as busy, leave in queue, or transfer out to an extension or DID. The next section works with agent unavailable codes and will allow you to set emergency lockout codes if desired. Finally, decide the treatment in the event of a not reachable situation or an agent lockout. To add users and supervisors, you will use the Users tab. The agents available are on the top. Select the agent or agents in this list and press the Add arrow to include them, just like you did with a hunt group. Depending on the call distribution type selected in queue profile, the order that the agents appear may matter. Supervisors are assigned the same way. As you can see, this PBX only has 1 agent license assigned. Save your changes at the bottom, and we can proceed to the Announcements tab. On the Announcements tab, you can customize the caller experience in several ways. The left side deals with entrance and on-hold messaging, while the right side deals with wait and comfort messages. Save your changes at the bottom when you have made your decisions. Now let's look deeper at these sides. Zooming into the left side, we will start at the top. Entrance messages can play when the caller arrives. If you make the entrance message mandatory, it will play even when there is nobody on hold, and can be a handy spot to put verbiage, such as, "Your call may be recorded for quality and training purposes." Music on hold will play, obviously, while the caller is holding in queue, which can have a different track for internal callers. To look deeper at the audio management tools, let's press Browse on one of the categories and check out the announcement repository. We find the Choose Custom Audio File dialog box here. Press Upload New Audio File. Select the audio file you would like and open it, which brings you back to this screen. You can add more files to your audio repository at this time. Now you can see we have 4 tracks uploaded to the repository. Select the file you wish to use and press the Add arrow. Repeat up to 4 times. You can layer the music on hold tracks in the call center to provide longer messages. Then confirm at the bottom with Use this audio. On the right-hand side is a place to message your callers that spend an excessive amount of time on hold. Eventually, callers will hang up if they aren't greeted. This is a stat called abandonment, but you can generally get them to hold a bit longer if you message it properly. Estimated wait messages can be sent to let your caller know how long they may have to wait. You can set how often to send this message and whether you want to communicate estimated wait time or position in queue. This is vocalized by the system, so there is no custom message to leave here. You can also have a vocalized high volume message when the average handle time exceeds the default handling time. Finally, a comfort message is an audio file that plays at a set interval, typically to apologize to the callers for their long wait. Lastly, there is the Thresholds tab. Queue thresholds are alerts that can appear as color-coded warnings on the supervisor dashboard or as email alerts to up to 6 addresses. To use them, enable with the on-off button at the top. Then, set a yellow warning and red alert levels for each of the metrics below. You can become aware when queue depth begins to fill or when the calls are longer than expected, for example. Red thresholds automatically must be larger than yellow thresholds. Finally, you can choose to send these alerts to up to 6 email addresses on this side. The email address fields are open, meaning that the recipients do not have to be associated to users in the system. You can even input distribution list addresses here. If the queue is an overflow from another, and you have not reset queue statistics on the queue profile tab, the calls may arrive already exceeding some of these thresholds. Remember to save any changes and confirm here. Back to the call center subcategory. We can see it is much different now that we have a queue defined. You can see an overview of the queues we have made and use the controls on the right-hand side to edit or delete them. There's also a section called Call Center Settings that provides enterprise-level control over some other call center functions. Press this region with the gear icon and let's look at what you can do here. The call center settings will apply to all call queues that you define. You can set queue routing priorities, which is useful if you have an agent who can take calls from more than one queue. And you can set thresholds for agents to monitor their activities independent of the queues they are in. Lastly, unavailable codes let you define situations where an agent can be in the queue but ineligible to receive calls. Remember to save any changes that you make here. The Customer Administration Portal gives access to some basic statistics, and at the top you can see stats for the queues. You can set the time range for the report. Below you see several statistics such as busy overflows, number of calls answered, and average wait time. These stats give a general impression of the overall customer experience over time. At the bottom you can pull stats for agents, such as the number of calls they handle, their average handle time, and total time staffed or available for calls. For more advanced reporting, you will need the supervisor license, and we will discuss that in another video. Thank you for viewing this lesson on Call Center in the Customer Administration Portal 3.0. Be sure to check out our other videos for more information.